What's going on, my curious and intellectual people? Welcome back to Intriguing Insights, where deep conversations meet everyday life, looking beyond the obvious to uncovering meaning, challenge assumption, and find wisdom in places most people overlook. It has become officially past week 2 of January. So where are you and your goals? Are you in the statistical area where most people have fallen off by now? Or are you in the category where you're still pushing forward and trying to implement those goals into your life? Now, one thing I can say, if you miss 1 or 2 days, it's okay. Pick yourself up and try again, try again, try again. First you don't succeed. All right. Anyways, if you so happen to fall off, it's okay. This is also a part of the process that tells you that you need to make your goals more tempting, attractive, easy, and rewarding. So don't beat yourself up if you did fall off the bandwagon. Again, pick yourself up and try again, try again, try again. Anyways, yeah. Never mind that. No, I can't sing, but I try. So today, this is what I'm asking you to do. Stop trying to fix your life and start leading it. Fixing is a reaction. Leading is intentional. A reaction is acting in response from another action, while being proactive is an intelligent, standard action according to what you want and prefer, your values and your principles, which is just a clear indication that we've changed. Our values and principles have changed, so we no longer have any use for the former knowledge of living. See, a resolution fixes a problem, which is nothing wrong with problem solving, especially when it's solving a problem long term. But statistically, we know that resolutions don't solve problems. They're just immediate gratification. You know, those quick fixes, those temporary lasting gratifications that it's my money and I want it now type mentality. But we all know if it comes fast, it's gonna go fast. It's hard to appreciate anything that we do not put blood, sweat, and tears into it to the point that it holds value to ourselves because of the work and the effort and all the time that we had to put into it in order to get it. Because you see, that's why it bothers me so much when I lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. Because I work hard in the gym, and only to lose it to some instant gratifications such as a cake and ice cream, or that late night eating and those fast food restaurants and desirable foods that everybody else likes. And I tend to lose it real quick, but it takes me much more time in order to get back everything that I already worked hard for. Yeah, that hits hard, and it hits hard at home. And in order to be intentional, we have to let go of the instant gratification and start putting in that hard work necessary to become aware, find solutions, make plans, and execute them. This happens when we become the captain of our own ships. Someone sent me this reel before on TikTok, and the quote there, which I'm probably miswording, but hopefully you get the point, and I don't get sued for miswording their post too. But anyways, but the quote resonated with my soul, probably because naturally how I think, wanting to be free from all this captivity, mentally, physically, financially. You get the point. But the quote said, if you do not pursue your own dreams, someone will hire you to achieve theirs. So when I say hire, I'm not necessarily talking about at a job. I'm speaking in general. Because if you're not in control of your own life, someone else will control it for you for their benefit. Because you see, if we're not managing our own time, our own finances, our own mental state, we will always be available for someone else to spend our money, to plan our schedule, to think for us, but in pursuit of their dreams, their purposes, and their goals. Because when we know who we are, what we want, and our purpose in life, this helps us to be more intentional, leading our own life. Because leadership begins with ownership. And our ownership, it starts with personal accountability. Now, this doesn't mean that you're not accountable to trusted loved ones and friends and others, because not everybody's out for your own good. And this is kind of like what I mean when I'm saying being the captain of your own ship. Because if a person really doesn't know who you are, or even try to make judgments according to you as an individual rather than according to them, their experiences and their purposes, they will project on you something that they want for them own selves. A lot of us has experienced this periodically through our lives. Some of us as children, because our parents, instead of them embedding in us things that according to who we are as individuals, they are projecting their dreams and trying to build that according to what they want. Not saying that it's malicious or anything, but at the end of the day, that's just what it is. They have failed in their own lives growing up due to the fact that they didn't pursue it and end up pursuing other things. And then they just try to import it to you, in a sense, pushing you towards the things that'll make them feel satisfied as an individual because of their lack of having it for themselves. Taking responsibility for one's own actions, decisions, and personal growth by being self-aware, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your emotional triggers. By being self-disciplined, doing what is right and important, even when it's difficult. And definitely integrity, having a strong moral standard and aligning one's actions with their principles. And one way we can make this transition is by moving from survivor mode to stewardship. Because you see, most of the time we're thinking from surviving to thriving, but that's a big jump. There's a gap in between that we need to do some initiating, some planting, some cultivating, and some execution. And when we skip these in this process, we'll feel like or think that we're thriving, but really we're moving like we're surviving, just trying to get by. Because when you're thriving is when you're in your element. And the only way that you can be in your element is if you're operating off of your natural inclination. So with stewardship, you learn these things because you not only develop possessions, you develop internal attributes that gives you a long-term benefit to hold any possession that you can obtain in life. Because if you are a steward of your time by managing it successfully and properly, by doing what is needed to be done when it needs to be done, then no one else can manage your time for you. And if you're managing your money, you're not seeking to gain more financial growth. If you know how to manage your small finances that you have, then you can set forth a lifestyle around that make you appear and seem to be rich. Because the people with the most money, not necessarily rich, because they're spending more than what they actually have, which is good in a way, because circumstances like that kind of push you and motivate you and urge you to do something to gain more money. But if we don't have that internal stewardship, that discipline to manage the money successfully by not spending on things that we really don't need at that particular time, but just want and wait to get it, then we're losing everything that we're working hard for. And again, we are not pursuing our dreams. We're working hard for someone else's dream. But when we're stewarding those things, ourselves, first of all, what we're doing with our time, managing that for growth, for maturity, for mental health, for connections and bonds, then we are able to be the captain of our own ship. So stewardship is very significant, because if you can be faithful with the little you have, you can definitely be more faithful with a lot. Because we say, if we only just had more, we will be able to do better. But you're not even doing good with what you have. Make it make sense. That is so contradictory. If you're doing these behaviors and actions with $10, this is the same behavior and action you're going to do with $10,000. You're just going to buy more of the things you're buying with the $10. So I ask you, what area in your life needs leadership, not pressure? Remember, clarity doesn't come from easy answers, but from the courage to ask the hard ones. So stay curious, stay open, and keep looking deeper. Peace.